welcome back. So today we are on the dreaded Kraton 8S M2C version 1. This was the release one. You can always tell because it has a solid upper bar and no rear brace, which after they released this to some of the YouTubers, they were folding chassis. So Arrma immediately after releasing all this stuff basically immediately made a revision to this, and it was something that I caught early on, and I rushed out and I found a version 1.5, even though they don't have a 1.5. That came with a rear brace, a 2-piece upper, to try to help the chassis from bending. So as you can see, 4 years ago, I was off and running, went ahead and converted that first version Kraton that had all the issues to an M2C Kraton. I was out bashing it, but every time I took this RC out, and you can tell, I wasn't jumping it super high. Just trying to get a feel for it, but all these minor crashes, I kept breaking wing mounts, control arms. I ripped the front shocks off of it a few times, literally snapped it. Beautiful chassis, was loving the build, but it was just costing $100 to $200 every time I went out with this RC, just because I couldn't keep it together. It was just so heavy. I think I was doing the wrong thing with it, and it got to the point where I got tired of spending stupid money just to run this RC. I think it's meant for a ground and pounder and not a big air RC, at least in my opinion. You can see right here, this is probably the 4th wing mount on this thing at this point, and I had only been running it a couple of months, and you can tell the landings were always hard, not a lot of suspension travel. It was super stiff, so anytime it would barrel roll like that, it would break control arm shocks and wing mounts. But let's get into today's video. I opted to sell that version because I wasn't going to sell this thing. And this thing just became a parts rig for my Outcast 8S, which we're also going to get up and going as well. I haven't finished that. I got electronics to finish wiring back up into that. But this one I want to get back together, at least to a roller. I have pretty much enough pieces to pretty much make this thing run again. I got the Savox servo in it. I had to modify this box to run a 5th scale servo in it, and now Arrma offers the boxes, which I should have. I'm hoping I have one somewhere. If I don't, then I'll pick up a box. But the last thing I broke was this lower brace, so I robbed it off of this one front end. I ended up stealing it off of this one as well. So I do need a couple more pieces for the braces, but that won't stop me from making this thing a roller. I do have an ESC for this thing. I have everything to put it back together. I just wasn't in a rush because I robbed so many parts off of this thing. These were the pivot balls that I ended up robbing off one corner. And then from there, we started stealing axles because of this issue. As you see, them shattering pins on my Outcast. So I ended up getting some new drive axles, and I ended up replacing 2 off my Outcast, so all 4 are perfect. So I'm going to replace some of these axles, get all the axles put back on, and then I ordered the EXB version of the pivot balls, which is an upgraded version to where the balls are solid, hoping not to bend them like this again. I was having steering issues on my Outcast. Come to find out, the pivot balls were bent. So I stopped running this one because I couldn't keep wing mounts on it. Every time I took it out, I would either break a control arm or break a wing, or because the chassis is just so rigid and this became so heavy, I did pull out all the center bracing on this thing, which I'll have to put some hardware back in it. But I pulled the reinforcement bracing off of this thing, trying to get it lightened up, because anytime I would crash this thing, I would rip a rear arm or rip the wing off the thing. If you don't baby this thing, it would just break immediately. And it was really cost me a fortune just to run this version, when I can beat up on my Outcast, whether it was the regular 8S or the EXB, which I kept the EXB and sold the regular one. And everything I had insane electronics in it. I opted to just retire this thing, because spending $200 every time I ran this thing to buy either a wing and a control arm or something was ridiculous. The whole purpose of upgrading to this chassis was to stop ruining these, you know, $100, $150 chassis on this thing. So that was the point of doing it, and then all that ended up happening was I couldn't even get through one set of batteries because it would just break immediately, just because of the weight. I couldn't run it like I run my stock EXB Outcast. So I'm going to get this set up into a roller. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. I might put it together and just get rid of this thing. And then buy a stock. I believe they come out with an EXB version of the Kraton now. I might just go out and buy a stock one and sell this thing off as a roller or something. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. What I am sure is that I've robbed so many parts off this thing that I have 2 choices at this point. One, repair it, get everything bought and put back on it to make it a roller again, which is, I'm well over $400 into parts on this thing just to make it a roller again. Or just piece this thing out, throw the chassis into a bin and just stop running this thing, and just go buy another one. Not exactly sure, but what I do know is that I want to get this thing put back together, so that's what I'm going to do today. It is a good RC. It's just you can't run it like I'm used to running stuff. I guess is the biggest downfall to this RC. I thought once I went M2C I was going to be fine, and if you know and you've listened to me, anytime anybody suggests, M2C makes a lot of good parts, but I think if you just M2C out your complete RC car, it becomes so heavy that you can't run it as an extreme air control basher without spending hundreds of dollars on control arms, wings, that kind of stuff. Maybe there's more upgrades now that keep some of this together. I just don't. I got RPM front arms on this thing because I ran out of the upgraded Arrma arms for this thing. So I ended up putting some RPM. I'm not a big RPM fan on control arms. And even these RPM ones break. They flex so much, they bend axles, they break other things. So this has become the world's worst experiment for upgrading an RC car. So let's get to putting some of this stuff together. I'm going to open a set of these pivot balls, and these are ARA 330651. If you have pivot ball issues with any of your 8S Arrmas, just buy these. They are hardened bolts. It's a whole hardened pivot ball, which should stop this from happening. So after I put these on this, I will have to buy another set for my Outcast 8S, and if they bend again on that, then I'll upgrade them to this. But right now it's got the takeoff ones from this. That's why this corner is apart. I needed a pin and some stuff for this corner. So apparently, because I didn't think I needed a pin for this thing, but there's some back stuff missing. I'm gonna have to find all the pieces for this thing just to get it back on the ground again and rolling. I only have one tire here. All three of the other tires are in storage, along with some of these other parts I've pulled off and either lost. I do have the side piece somewhere. This battery tray is stuck. I have another battery tray that's going to go on here because the other one was broken. Just little things here and there on this whole RC car. So I guess the first thing to do is get these pivot balls put back in here. Let me get a drill set up for this, because that's the easy way of doing it, and I'm all about easy. Oh, and that kind of sucks. The ball itself unthreads, which that's going to need some Loctite. I just realized that. Man, these other ones are one piece, and these, the balls won't unscrew, which sucks because now I have to worry about the threads in here coming undone. I don't even know what to say about that. Let me grab some Loctite real quick. We're going to throw some Loctite on that part of it. I will be using reg Loctite hopefully on this. Also clean up the oily threads so that the Loctite has something to stick to. Look at that. Look at all that oil in there. Oh yeah, and there's some grease in it. Wow. Something I didn't realize was that, or I would have just ordered stock ones. These pivot balls are always coming loose. That was another issue I didn't like about these pivot ball setups. But I do not want these things coming off. It's not like you can buy them in pieces. Oh. I always get those comments about stop using drills, you strip stuff. People not realizing that you have a clutch on a drill. It's not an impact gun. You just set your clutch and run the pressure you want to run, so you're not stripping stuff out all the time. Even though I have a good feel, I tend to just set the clutch up. So the kit, I think for 50 bucks you get one side on these pivot balls. Yeah, $50. I'm hoping they don't start coming undone, unscrewing. clutch. All right, now I put most of the hardware back on this stuff so I wouldn't lose it. I believe this is going to go this way. This axle is actually okay. Don't tell me I am going to have to take those pivot balls off. Maybe that's why they made it to where the threads don't go in and out. So that you can put them in this. And screw it in. Like this. Just put the weight of this on there. Which I will have to stick some glue on these. Nut on top to lock it. See if I have these two have to be repaired, and then I gotta find my other bag of pins because these are too long, or I should say too thick. I have thinner ones somewhere. Alright, well I'm gonna have to find that pin. I used to have it laying in here, but it's not anymore. So I'll take out the other side. And see if I can find this pin. But the low-C ones are way thicker. I'm wondering if I should just drill them out to the low-C pins. Might be my better solution. I might just do that and drill these a little bigger so that I have thicker inner pins, and then I'll stop breaking them. These axles are no good. And I need this tire. So what I did for a quick repair is I just stole the whole knuckle. So many different sizes on everything just to work on this thing. It's another thing that was upsetting. Trying to do this in the field wasn't feasible. Wow. This bearing seems shot. I don't think I have this size. Oh, that one's no good either. The inner's good. That inner is no good. Might as well fix them all. Axles ARA 310926. Yes, I do this on everything because people always ask. I don't know why, but that's what seems to happen. I'm keeping these because I do have the tool to change out just the pin on the end. I just need to get some pins. Just getting out the old grease. Alright, I'm going to pause the camera because I don't need an hour-long video of how to service bearings like I've showed in the past. We'll be right back. Alright, so I got the bearings done. I got these rebuilt. They're nice and smooth. These are both the rears. But I'm going to switch to some low-C pins. Here's the factory Arrma pin. You can see the low-C pin is thicker. So what I'm going to do, 15th 64ths, we're going to go ahead and drill out the rear so that I can put a thicker pin in the back of this thing. Drill this out first. There we go. Probably a different size. Do the other side. All right. So now I need to find the back plate that I have somewhere. I gotta get some parts for the upper brace, but at least I got some of these parts on. And then we'll figure out what I'm gonna do with it. But there we go. Comment down below. Should I keep it? Should I get rid of it? Like my other plans and just get a stock one? Because blowing through axles, blowing through control arms, blowing through brace ends on both my 8S Arrmas, and I don't know if I want to just keep doing that. It is a fun truck. I might just make it a ground vehicle and not jump it hard, and put it together and just build it for speed rips across grass, that kind of stuff. Kind of like the DBXL E. Mild jumps, not big air send it jumps, and fart around with it. But there we go. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys on my next video. Now we're going to get to finishing up the Outcast 8S and get the tires put back on this, and at least rip this until I get the other parts in for the other one. But there we go. Catch you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching.